Now let's say we're happy with this kind of shape. What you want to do is actually create a kind of a one unified node that's gonna control everything that you want to do with this fan. So what I'm going to do, I experimented with this null, so I'm gonna put down another one. Let's put down null, and then go to the edit parameter interface, and it should open up something like this. And now if you go to this gear icon and uncheck for bit linking parameters from outside this subnet. Now what we can do is link any of these nodes inside our null node that we just created for us to create the controller, so you don't have to switch between all the nodes and find where the specific parameter is. So what I'm going to do, let's take a look. So let's say we want to change the place where the fan is actually located when we copy it. With this soft normal, sadly we cannot really use it because actually when you move it, it's actually going to change the size of it, the form of it, because it is we have a group that we selected. So what I'm going to do, go back and just put down a traditional transform node. But before that transform, I'm going to unify all of our objects that we pipe into the transform with match size. This is basically going to give us the base position for any of our objects. Just put it to the center, all of this to the center, and with transform node, these are actually where we're going to use x and y to place it at where we want it. So let's pipe into translate x and y. You just select them all and just drag it into it, so like that. So let's take a look what else we like to change. So for the poly extrude, we might want to change the extrude amount. So you can definitely put that in. But for me, it doesn't really, for now, doesn't matter really. Subdivision, how many subdivides you want, for now, doesn't really matter for me. The copy, we definitely want to number of copies in here. Once we have created our controls, for now, just press apply and all of our controls are going to be on a null node. We just created these inputs like this. So now you can control like that. And also one thing, we might also want to control the z direction, so just go to the transform and also put down z in here, so we can control all three axes. One another parameter that we might want is actually scale in a bit of these fans, scaling in, but if you go to our transform and try to scale in and out, we're getting not very nice results at all. So what I'm going to do is actually put down another transform, and with this transform I'm going to press right click when I'm over it and go inside the pivot mode, and I'm going to just around try to match the kind of a general direction of our fan like that, exit the pivot mode like that, and now with the scaler we're getting nice results. If you want to change our fan size just a little bit so it doesn't look so weird, if you want a little bit or better, so we just get a little bit of a wiggle room for our fan, so we don't have to create entirely new object. And now I'm going to put down also this scaler in here. With that, I'll apply. Now let's take a look at the results. So go to our null, so number of copies, scaler. See, it actually looks pretty good. Now let's create entirely different shape for our fans. What we can do is actually use this base shape of this fan. What I'm going to do is select only this one side and delete it. This is going to put down a blast node. And since we do not really want to change this, we're not going to change the fans. We're just going to put down this blast and select non-deselected. So we are left with this kind of sliver, which also can be used as a fan. And now just put down a switch. In the switch, put down before we blasted it, and then the blast version. And then after the switch, put down a match size, like that. And if you take a look at this copy, let's go back to the switch, and if you switch between them, you can see we're getting two different fans. And of course, we can go back to this, This is maybe a fan for smaller, kind of a smaller fan. Maybe we can squish it and you have a totally different shape copied inside it, so that's cool. Of course, you can also put down some bend nodes if you want it, but for now, let's not make it too complicated. So that's kind of cool thing you can do. And of course, you can take the switch and put it inside our controller like that. Now, if we go to the controller, you can change the switch, input numbers, and switch between the shapes. And of course, we can change whatever shapes you want, just put inside the switcher. For the ease of use, for someone that maybe you are giving this file or yourself after you come back for some time, you can always label them for something that you would immediately recognize, so total number. So maybe just call it amount of fans, like that, and then you apply, and it's going to be automatically set to that. So you immediately can say what this parameter actually changes. So now let's go through the entire object. Let's try to make these controllers for every other one, and then let's finish up with some booleans and something like that. Also, one thing, after this null, you can just call it like a controller, paint it something like red that you automatically actually see it. And one thing, you can just put down also finish. Now it's actually output. It always makes up output flag in here, so that it's always going to select this node. So let's say we are here and we just make some changes inside here. We go back, it's going to automatically show the finished result. It's not going to linger on the same node. So if you do not have this output flag, let's say we take a look at this one, we go back. Actually, we can't even disable it, let's delete it. So something like this, go back, you can see that it's still here. It did not show the entire object. So just put down output so do not have to manually select the last node inside your network. Now let's finish up our fan geo node with creating this kind of cap. What you want to do is for it to follow kind of like this back of this cycle in the back. So what we're gonna do is put down a object merge, match size, and tube. So with these three nodes, so let's start with the tube. They just create something with high poly count. For the size, what we're going to do is, so in match size, put first one in tube, and now in match size, add one. So basically, we want to link the object that we want to match size with. So let's go back to our frame, and after the frame, if you remember, we actually created these cutout holes, and we actually put down connectivity node like in here. And if you remember, our connectivity node had going to polygons, gravity selection, and we have our classes, and basically it's class at 1. So what we can do is, let's name it with the caps on connectivity. And now with this naming with all caps, we can go back to the fan, to the object merge, and click on select, go to the frames, and you can see that connectivity is actually first in a list of all nodes because we used all caps. So that's one trick. If you know you're gonna need to reference this node, you just can name it in all caps. It's going to be first in a list. So we want to list this, and at the group, just point at the group. So class equals 1, like that. And then in match size, press on scale to fit, like that. You can see it's basically squished it together, so be exactly same bounding box as our circle outside. And now let's just merge them together. This output node is going to be here. I'm going to merge these two together, like that. I'll put in here after that. After that, what we can do is in the match size, turn off the translate so it doesn't really move at the same position, so it stays in the center. And after match size, put down another transform. With this transform, we can change the scaling of it and something like this. These are all controls that we're gonna later reference in our controller. So in here, something like this. And after that, let's put down a bevel. And with the bevel, that's one cool option in the bevel tool. So turn off the groups. They have actually exclusions. And if you take a look, ignore flat edges. It's basically like a group that you do not have to select. So this is just a simple circle. It's going to exclude all the edges with a certain amount of angle between them. Something like this. Maybe less resolution, but just to get across that it's a little bit of a rounding around it. So what's cool about this, you can always go change it wherever we want. So now we have our fan. Now let's just add these controls too. So in here, let's create actually a folder. Just select these, all of these, the first one we created. I put them inside the folder, create another one, and with this folder we're gonna reference the actual circle that we just created. So we want to be able to change the columns. Oh, again it's resetted, so unlink this for bit linking. I'll put it again. Columns. Radius we can't really control because we have this much size. There's really anything that we need, so this can stay. But in transform, you can see that we use this. Definitely want to be able to change Z direction with this, the scaling, also the scaling that could be useful, and also the bevel amount, so bevel distance and divisions. Complexity doesn't really matter for us for now, unless you're doing something very specific. Also, you see it's not actually in folder, so take these and drop inside, so the lines come from the folders. Of course, you can name them if you want, but I'm gonna just leave it for now, like that. Now we have our folder with our circle controls. We can change it however we want. To save you all the boring stuff, what I did is created three controllers that control a certain aspect of everything that we might want to change in here. Also remember in last video we didn't have this chamfering, so what I did is just go back in here. So let's take a look, where is it? So poly beveling. So for this I used the edges that we just created in the first video, and for the rest of it what I did is put down another boolean, and for this I just didn't create even a group, just created the ignore flat edges. So basically we're going to take only these hard edges in here because we have already chamfered these. So that's all that is these round edges and round this here. Of course we can change it whatever we want. Also maybe to less resolution like that. So back to these controllers, what I did, I just created three controllers that's going to control the certain aspect of the shape that we might want to change. So first one is going to be the shapes of the corners, so like this. Just take the channels, then the thickness of the cube that we started with. So this is the distance. So this is kind of, you have to be careful with this one. The amount of beveling, connexity of this shape. So we can do something like maybe this shape like this. So we have completely different shape. Uniform scale, which you have to be pretty careful. So that's that. And what's cool about this actually is that, let's say we have this kind of, which one we can take, maybe this one, uniform scale. You can see the actual zone that you want to be in is actually very small. You can see that our slider goes up to 10 even. So that's way too much. So what you can do is just go to parameter interface. So once this uniform scale, there's actually the limits that you can change, the range. So let's say you want from 0 to 1 only. Apply. You can see it's automatically going to change to a smaller scaler, so that we can even with the mouse do not go over it, because it's not that big of amplitude of 0 to 10. So that's one thing you can do for easier controlling, for you to control easier. So now it's the frame controls. Oh, I did it again. So for frame controls, what you did is just create how big is the hole, how that's the resolution of it, the size of it. So this is basically the extrusion of it. So with that, to be careful with this one. The radius of the inside circle. So and height is basically how thick it is in the back. So just be careful with these controls. You can easily mess them up if you don't really know what exactly to change. So for the back frame, what you can do is change what we have, how many of these we have, how thick them are, that. So this division, how many of these are, and the distance. So if you want to change the radius of this, you can change it always. Often in a case files you will see different kind of shapes around where the screws are. So what we can do is Boolean them out. Let's just create a curve inside our frame geonode, and then put to the NURBS, and let's start creating this kind of shape. So this is, NURBS are great for organic shapes, so like that. And then right click and close the curve, press enter, and then you can just move around. If it's kind of like this dark gray, just reverse it. So now something like this. So this is what we're gonna boolean out. One thing to note that these are not polygons right now. What we do is convert. You can see how dense the geometry right now, but we can make it a little bit less sparse with this U slider, so something like this. And now all we need to do is mirror it. Press enter, take a look where the mirror happens. So the mirror is happening here, but we want it here, so hold control and just move this 45 degrees back, like that. Now our mirror is in the right place. So in the picture it doesn't really line up, but for us, we know it's actually exactly 45 degrees, and we're gonna leave it like that. And what's good about this, we now can put down let's put down match size and put right at the center, all of these at center. So what this does is it basically uses the base position for all of our booleans. So even if we create other shape, they all are going to be at the center of the centroid, so we can always know where the position, and then if you want, which you'll need, we can transform it to the right position with another node. But anything that goes inside this one is going to be at least in here, so we do not have different positions for different shape that we might create in this one. So that's what I really like about this match size. It kind of gives you the base placement of any object in the scene. And now what we're gonna do is put this match size at the end of the whole network. So what I want to do is in here, after we have created our shape, let's put down transform. So let's put it as a viewable template and select this one and move it around around the general area. And transform this very nicely useful scalar like that. Now let's use, there's actually very cool node lab thicken. It's basically going to thicken our geometry, and if we want we can thicken on both sides. You can see it basically thickens it up like that. And now let's boolean out from our soft transform, put on boolean. So the A is going to be our main shape, and be this like that. Deselect the template. You can see one problem is that it's all black because we do not have a normal attribute for our main shape. So we have a normal for our small shapes, but we not have this one. We just put down normal before it like that. Now you can see we're booleaning out. Now let's control with transform where we want to put it. Control the size of it like this. So let's say you want them in here. So but how can we only then maybe a little bit of a little intent, not all of them boolean out. So one thing we can use is use this transform. So if you disable the thicken, if you think about it, this transform is now at the very center of the world. And we do know how thick is our box. So what I'm going to do is go back to the top and copy the box, the amount, go back in here, in transform, and in a Z, paste inside. Now what we have done is moved it in a Z direction, the exact amount of this box. But we know that our box is actually moving on a negative and positive. So what all you have to do is to match this side, you just divide it by 2, like that. If you take a look, now we move it around. It is right at the same surface as our box in here. You can see it, even the outline. And now with the thicken, let's, you can also vote or not vote, whatever. You can see now it's, and now we can just make a little bit and boolean out our shape. Select and select both directions like that. If it's right at the same surface, it should boolean out. There shouldn't be any problem like that. Let's make it a little bit smaller like that. So this is our shape. With this artifacting we can easily take care of them, but for that let's just mirror it. So before the boolean and after the thicken, let's mirror it. Yeah, so that's gonna be an X. And again mirror. Actually I think I have presets. It's going to mirror in a Y like that. Now we have boolean in all our shapes. And now we also have to mirror in a Z direction. Let's put in another mirror. In Z like that. So now we have all our shapes. And this weird artifact, what you can do is after the booleans, what you can do is just put down a normal. And in a normal node there's actually option weighting method by face area like that. So now You see it's going to fix up right all the artifacting on our normals like that. And now let's put, so after soft normal we can fix up, so output's going to be back at the normal at the end of it like that. Maybe controls also, let's put it like here. What's great about this, you can always go and change our shapes. And for this one, let's select all of these and hold A and just drag it to the bottom from the first one. You can automatically sort all of these, align all of these nodes like that. What's cool about this, you can also create controller for all of these shapes. So maybe, let's say, before the curve, you can put down a null. Let's color it something that you can see, maybe a purple. Let's say main shape input. So we can change the shape that we want to boolean out with the curves or with the switch even. We can change whatever we want it to be for this shape. Another thing that I almost forgot to add is how can we chamfer this actual cutout. So let's go back to where we created. It's kind of unique how we created it, because we created it out of not a simple 2 but also out of this cutout inside this. So if we output AB seams, you want to bevel them like that, put down AB seams, you can see it's also going to bevel these. This is not what we want, because if we bevel this, it's going to mess up our groups inside here that we use to extrude the back of the fan. So let's leave this for now. And after the whole cutout, let's put down the group. In the group, put it to the edges. And in the group name, just select the AB seams we just created. And then not to disable the base selection. And you take a look at union with existing, you can see it's actually going to show up our AB seams. What we want to do is actually subtract from the existing, almost messed that up. And then just use the by bounding box, then just make this bounding box around something reasonable so that it doesn't, so the Z can be whatever big we want, but this case should be kind of like this size, so it, when we make it bigger, so it doesn't mess it up, so it doesn't make the edges of it. So something like this basically going to be our new AB seams. Now if you put them bevel and select AB seams, you see now it's going to only bevel these those edges, so like that. Also, if something after the beveling isn't right, make sure that the connectivity is the same as before. So if you go back in this, actually you can see that beveling actually changed our numbering. So the small part is now actually 0 and big one is 1. So if you ever then reference this class in later network nodes, make sure it's back to 0, like in here in the group where we created this group by range. Make sure it still says now set 0 then 1. That's it for this tutorial. I just created some of the variations you can create inside Houdini and rendered out this image quickly. That's gonna be a thumbnail for new videos. Actually, I'm going to also include this file that I made so you can check it out and see how it all works. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you learned something and see you next time.